Okay, great. Should we get started? It's 8 o'clock.
Yes.
I do want to respect the time. Okay. Hello, everybody. Namaskar. I am your host, Nikhil Patil. Maharashtra's Accelerator for AI, MAAI, was born out of our desire to share the knowledge of AI with the Marathi world. We are a group of people based in Silicon Valley with deep and intimate understanding of and expertise of AI. Our objective is to provide education and help students engineer solutions to real-world problems. We encourage entrepreneurship, and we will enable them to start their entrepreneurial journey with our mentors and advisors. Being part of Garje Marathi Global, we have a great platform where we bring like-minded people under one umbrella to join our journey. In 2025, we will be sharing our knowledge of AI with you. So watch and follow Garje Marathi Global to be updated on the latest happenings. Today, we have an esteemed panel of experts to answer the question on everybody's mind. Where can I use Gen AI? And what else can I do with Gen AI? And more such questions. Dr. Sanjay Bhandari ji is a serial entrepreneur and CEO of Vibrant Microsystems. He is also on the board of GMG and has had a successful journey in his career as a CTO of MEMSIC, where he built and sold over a billion of accelerometers and magnetometers. Pramod Gosavi ji, amongst other things, is a serial investor in many startups and currently at Bloomberg Capital. He's a seed investor in many companies that include Collinear AI and Lean, amongst others. In his early career, he was part of VMware Corporate Investment Fund. And our host, Anand Joshi himself, is a well-seasoned AI analyst and executive. He's a semiconductor industry veteran with 30 plus years of experience in the industry. For the past 8 years, he's been an entrepreneur, executive, and analyst for AI semiconductors. He's a frequent speaker at AI conferences. Of the 4 companies he's been executive at in the past 8 years, 3 have been acquired. MAAI is focused on building programs for students. MAAI conducted a workshop in building AI applications using LLMs in August of 2024. MAAI carried out its second event this summer to give students and college grads and undergrads an opportunity to solve real-world challenges with the help of AI. We had a group of students build a project to address real-life problems, and one of them is going to apply for Y Combinator funding. We want to give them an opportunity who participated in the Summer of Code Challenge to present their final product to you today, in addition to listening to the panel of experts. So today we will be covering 3 topics. We will see the presentation and the product demos of the two teams, Code Crafters and B2. We will have the panel discussion, and then we will have a Q&A session. So I would request you to use the chat window to ask your questions. And if you are not participating,
We lost you. You're back, yes.
Okay.
Namaskar, Ranu Kaka.
Namaskar. By mistake, I muted him. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So with that, I will hand it over to Code Crafters to walk us through their demo and the pitch.
By the way, while the screen is being set up, Namaskar, me Anand Joshi. Bunch of us have started this initiative called as MAAI, Maharashtra's Accelerator for AI. And the goal is to really to enable Maharashtra students to learn AI and help them win the AI race to the extent possible. Towards that end, we'll be conducting courses and helping them build some solutions via hackathons. We'll also be collaborating with universities. We'll be conducting challenges like the one that we are showing here, Summer of Code, in which 4 teams of 5 students each participated in this summer. And 2 of them have done very well, who are going to be giving you an overview. So I encourage you all to encourage your children to take a look at the MAAI website and participate this year. So with that, I'll pass it over to the team.
Excellent. Take it over, guys. We can't hear you if you're talking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Yep.
Also,
Okay.
I think you are sharing the entire screen in the presenter mode. We can see both of your screens.
Okay, sounds good. Hold on, it's not letting me see the.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay. Hold on, sorry. It's like giving me some glitches.
And just to add, Neeraj, who's at the bottom of my screen here, he was the mentor for this team. Neeraj himself is an excellent, I guess, research scholar in NLP. He's built a model, Marathi model. So he actually guided the team. So hopefully the team learned and we learned something too.
Hey, Siddharth, is there any way you could share your screen? It's not letting me go to it. Okay, sounds good.
I think you need to stop sharing your screen. It's not letting me.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, let me
Ra-
just join.
Rahul's sharing his screen, so
Okay, stop sharing.
there.
All right, it's good now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we can see your screen now.
It's all correct now. Please go ahead.
Keep going.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, my name is Roheen, and for our Summer of Code project, my team, Codecrafters, worked on a project called Biographic.
Why?
However, before we dive into the project, I believe it's important to talk about the overarching concepts that surround it. So, generative AI, right? What is it? Generative AI are the models that can generate text, images, code, and more based on patterns and data. Some examples of generative AI technologies include ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Meta's Llama 3, and more. Additionally, one of the primary innovations that led to the development of generative AI technology can be attributed to the Attention is All You Need paper, which introduced the self-attention mechanism. So while LLMs are booming in popularity recently, it's important to note that they have severe limitations, such as being biased, generating misinformation, as well as generating outdated information. These limitations make it very difficult to adopt them in regulated industries, especially healthcare. To address this, researchers and engineers have proposed various techniques to mitigate the challenges through techniques like retrieval augmented generation, and most recently, agentic AI frameworks. In this study, we focus our attention to an advanced version of RAGs for graph databases applied to the medical domain. So some of you guys might be wondering, what is that, right? The graph RAG is a type of information retrieval and augmentation method that leverages graph structures to enhance the process of generating responses in natural language processing applications. How it works is by taking raw data, or more specifically, a series of nodes and edges, and creating relations out of them. For example, how Tom Hanks relates to Meg Ryan through the movie Sleepless Seattle, and compiling those relations to create one large graph, which is used to generate a user response. As you can see here in this image, to perform a traditional knowledge graph search, one would need to write queries using the Cypher query language, which is similar to the SQL queries for SQL databases. However, when using a graph RAG, one can use natural language query, or more simply put, English, to access elements in the knowledge graph to generate a response. Okay. Now we're going to be presenting the demo. So here the user puts in a query. It generates an answer from a knowledge graph, an enriched answer, and then gives all the drugs and related entities. This is the context. These are all the relations I was talking about. And it also uses links. It also generates links for the user to go to if they have any more related questions. And it also generates a subgraph, as you can see in the bottom. Yeah. All right, yep, so that's that. That was our project. Now I'm going to hand it off to Siddharth to explain the inner workings of it.
All right. So my name is Siddharth, and now we'll be exploring Biograph RAG, which is our project. So this slide illustrates basically how we can leverage Graph RAG with expert curated biomedical knowledge graph like BioKG. This provides us a powerful combination of graph properties and large language models to provide accurate answers to complex biomedical queries. In order for Biograph RAG to answer any questions, the knowledge graph needs to be organized and indexed into a structured graph database. While indexing, we create embeddings for the facts in the graph, also known as triples. When a user asks a question, the model performs a cosine similarity search to find the most relevant triples on the graph. It finds the most relevant portions of the graph that are highly relevant to users' queries. Finally, an LLM steps in. It takes the retrieved subgraph and uses its context to generate a detailed and informative response. This approach ensures that the answer is using the facts present in the graph along with the natural language processing abilities of LLMs, even if LLM hasn't been specifically trained on this data. This combination ensures accuracy and depth we need in fields like biomedical research, where getting the facts right is crucial for regulatory purposes. In this slide, we'll see how Biograph RAG is accessible to users through a simple and intuitive chatbot's interface, thanks to Chainlet. Behind the scenes, we rely on a powerful tech stack to make it all work smoothly. We use Fast API to handle backend server requests, while Nebula Graph stores and organizes our biomedical data. To retrieve the right information, we use Llama Index to find the most relevant subgraph, and the answer generation is powered by OpenAI's API, specifically the GPT-4 mini model. Finally, we monitor and refine the system using literal AI, which allows us to track and improve the LLM's performance over time. In this slide, we'll highlight the difference between traditional graph queries and using Biograph RAG. With traditional methods, you need to know specialized query languages like Cypher, which can be complex and time consuming to learn. On the other hand, the Biograph RAG allows anyone, regardless of technical skill, to ask questions in simple everyday language. This means that researchers can easily tap into the vast knowledge stored in a biomedical database without needing any coding experience, making the information far more accessible and usable. So that's all. And for our future work, we aim to improve our accuracy, reduce latency of our response, and support more biomedical knowledge graphs. To explore more about our project, you can read out our technical or internship experience vlogs. And also, if you'd like to participate and contribute to this exciting work, we have open sourced our code, and we welcome to participate from the community. Welcome participation from the community. Finally, this has been an incredible team effort, and I would like to thank my team, which includes Dia, Kunj, Rohan, Devin, and me, which is Siddharth. Thank you so much, everyone, and it was great working with everybody.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Excellent work. Please keep in mind, these students do not have any real world AI background. They have accomplished this in the span of less than 90 days. If we do have any pharma or medical professionals on the call who would like to connect with the students, please let me know. Thank you, guys. Well done.
Yes, and
Thank you.
also for all the companies executives on the call, if you guys ever need interns or experts in AI, you know where to find them.
Yeah. Excellent. Let's move on to our next
It's
one.
great.
Adit, you're up next.
Yeah, I just need the Siddharth to stop sharing. Thank you. Is all good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi. Today I'm gonna be presenting for my team. We worked on Crave AI, which is an AI powered e-waiter kind of food recommendation app. It's my team. I'm Adit Karode. I go to Northeastern University. I'm a computer science student.
Hi, I'm Solid. I go to university as well, and I'm a data science student.
I'm Rushal. I go to UCSC, and I'm also a computer science student.
Hi, my name is Mukul, and I'm also a third-year student at UCSC studying computer science.
Hi, I'm Anish, and I'm a third-year student at UC Santa Cruz, and I'm also studying computer science.
And my name is Aditya, and I'm a third-year student at UC Santa Barbara, and I'm studying data science.
I know it's a little early to have the team slide if you don't even know what our app or problem statement is, but the problem was kind of created through us just hanging out as friends, and we realized that a lot of restaurants nowadays, you scan the QR code, there's no real personal like recommendation anymore, and you just get a PDF of the menu. Even recommendations or like reviews that are online aren't personalized or catered to like person by person. If you're vegetarian, if you're shakahari, like it doesn't help that the stuff online is also very, very catered to the masses. So if you go to an Indian restaurant, automatically it'll always recommend chicken tikka masala, even though that is probably not going to be the best anywhere. And it also we wanted to kind of explore more foods instead of just having the same thing again and again. I think we've done that through the use of a rag pattern application, and how Crave kind of works. You'll see in the demo later, but it begins by when you open the app, there's a user preference survey which asks your dietary needs and taste profiles. Very quick 2-minute survey. Our AI algorithm, which is a semantic model, and in conjunction with another AI filtering system, it peruses through your taste profile and allows you to automatically kind of query menus when you go to a restaurant. And then when you go to a restaurant or you're trying to order from a particular place, this kind of taste palette is then compared to the menu.
Here are some key features that Crave AI offers. So Crave AI offers personalized recommendations. So we're going to recommend you things that are based on your past history of items and whether you like them or not. We offer dietary filters. So if you're vegetarian, you're gluten-free, you're allergic to certain ingredients, we're going to filter these items out for you. And we're also going to offer meal planning tools. And we're going to recommend you new foods and stuff to expand your culinary horizons.
It's the demo. You have a little recorded little demo for you guys, but
I don't think we can hear it.
oh, is there no audio coming through?
You can talk through as you are
keep
going.
going.
Okay, that's fine then. Yeah, so this is the login page. We're just creating the account. We have it kind of saved, and it'll save into our database. This is the home page, and this is the survey I was talking about, where you kind of tell it your preferences. Right now, we just have it as like a simple 3 choices for each, but we can like it works the same if it's textual. It works the same regardless of what it is. Right now, we're using this is the home page. After you log in, you can kind of see the local restaurants on the bottom. You have a search if you're searching for a specific restaurant. This works based off your location. So if you're at the restaurant already, it'll be on top. But we're just looking at like a local biryani spot where we get food sometimes. But you kind of press on it. You can from the restaurant grab the menu, and it's free to chat with. So over here, we're just asking for kind of spicy main dish, and then yeah. So we right now generates like the top 3 most aligned things. it also takes into account the fact that this person, like his user preferences were kind of towards the spicy and they were towards the fried, and that's why I recommended the paradise fish fry. Yeah. And again, because we're using like a large language model, it understands if you do like a vegetarian dish, even though you eat meat, it can still do the exact same thing that like if you're doing like a without doing a user preference survey for your friend as well, pretty much.
Excellent.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So the future plans for this app is, one, we want to expand our database. So make sure that, you know, we have all the menus of restaurants covered, trying to get as much information and data into our app that we can. And then to make our algorithm better, we want to fine tune our model and make sure that we get more accurate recommendations based on the user's taste profile and what their query is. And lastly, when we kind of get this recommendation model down, we would like to integrate ordering into the app as well and kind of expand into that market once we perfect our recommendation model.
I think a final vision we all have for the application is when you go to a restaurant, you scan the QR code, Crave AI shows up. You ask like what you want to order. It takes your whole order and then directly sends it to the kitchen, or even online ordering for like delivery and stuff as well. So we're quietly working on that behind the scenes. Yeah, and that's pretty much what we have today. Right now, this download the app, it's a little preemptive, but we hope to send it out to production by the end of the year.
Excellent, guys. Congratulations again.
Yeah, great job.
Great work.
Anand, probably
Thank
this
you,
would
guys.
be very
Yes.
right time to talk about our
Sure.
hackathon, and then you can take it over from there.
Yes, sound good. So thank you, everybody. I know you're all eager to listen to the speakers, so we'll get started. We have about 40 some minutes remaining. So I like to make it interactive. The more the questions come, the easier it gets. So we'll start by introducing ourselves, give a little bit of background about us and how we relate to AI. And then you're welcome to type your questions in the chat box. We'll go through them. I know several people have already submitted questions during the registration, so we'll also try to cover them and give you the perspective. By the way, do you mind stopping your screen? It's still showing.
Yeah, sorry
Perfect.
about that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's okay. So I'll go first. My name is Anand. I am a semiconductor guy, 30 plus years now, getting old every day. I started my career at Synopsys, LSI Logic, my first startup, Adobe's part business. And then about 8 years ago, I was trying to do another startup when I got an opportunity to write a report on computer vision. So this is when AI was just coming up. It was new. And I must have done a good job in writing that report because all the chip companies really, really liked it. And that sort of gave me an alternate career, which was an analyst in AI. So I've been a chip analyst for the last 8 years. I've seen this, industry emerge from zero, kids out of Stanford coming out and becoming billionaire. And it's been a fun ride. So during that period, I've been part of 4 AI startup companies, and 3 of them have been acquired. One ironically went bankrupt, but it's been a fantastic journey. So my AI expertise sort of lies on the mathematical/neural network level, also at the semiconductor, the chip design, and I'm a marketing guy within chip industry. So anything you want to know around hardware, software, where it's going, just feel free to ask your questions. I'll pass it to Pramod and then Sanjay.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Anand and Ganu sir, for giving me an opportunity to speak here. Yeah, so my background, studied from IIT, came here to do my PhD, but ended up joining the industry. So I worked in the industry for about 10, 12 years, mostly in engineering and product roles. And then I moved on the venture side. My journey with AI started about 7-8 years ago during the first AI wave. The first AI wave was mainly what they call as a prescriptive predictive AI. So you have a bunch of data, either like detecting fraud or loan processing, or one of the Uber use cases, computer vision. You see a lot of progress with computer vision, and you see this Waymo cars in San Francisco actually showing how mature and good that first generation AI has become. Fast forward in 2022 when Gen AI came in, I've been spending a lot of time in the last 1.5 years reading a lot of papers. It brings me back to my graduates study days where I used to read a lot of papers. So I really enjoy reading papers and sharing some of the findings on LinkedIn. Look forward to engaging with you today.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sanjay Bhandari. I'm founder and CEO of a stealth mode startup, Vibrant Microsystems, based here in Silicon Valley. I have spent last 24 years in startup world with 2 IPO exits and 2 acquisitions. My background, my PhD is in artificial neural networks way back some 30 plus years ago. And the companies that I have worked in various different areas. Some worked in sensor areas, which are used in automation, Edge AI, and also in autonomous vehicles. I'm board member of Garje Marathi. We do startup cohorts at Garje Marathi. We have mentored about 130 companies. They have got good level of funding as well. So with that, we get good visibility. I also get good visibility with the number of startups in different spaces. I'm also on advisory boards with a number of companies, a medical foundation, Palo, and advisor to UC Santa Barbara for their CX program. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. It's going to be a very interesting discussion and area of interest to everyone.
Excellent. So I'll start with a couple of questions, and then we'll go to audience questions. So about Sanjay and Pramod, you've seen a lot of generative AI startups, and if you were to look at AI, right, the AI is almost like a stack. You have to all start at the very low level, which is your semiconductor. Then you have libraries, then you have infrastructure, then you have whether it's data center or edge, then your application, you have scaling infrastructure, it just keeps going and going. And there are problems everywhere. And then those problems are connected to all these verticals, whether it's the the automotive, or whether it's oil and gas, whether it's food industry, whatever. So in your opinion, which of the verticals or markets or applications or layers are a low-hanging fruit? In other words, if there are entrepreneurs on this call, should they be looking at one or the other applications? I mean, we just saw some fantastic demos from some student groups here, right? Is that something that can be taken forward and productized and converted into business?
Pramod, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah. So if you look at Gen AI, right, we saw in one of the demos. So Gen AI is very good for generating content. So that content could be text, video, audio. The 2 things that are really mature right now is text and audio. The video is still in the works. So any text-heavy businesses, so Gen AI is very good at interpreting stuff, right? So generation is a really, really low-hanging fruit, like, to create copy, like marketing, like creating essays. So like I'm using ChatGPT to help my daughter with the essays and everything, right? So that's a very, very low-hanging fruit. But the other adjacent to that is reasoning, right? So if you use LLMs to reason, so some of the Uber use cases there's a lot of traction in customer support, right? So there's a lot of tickets. You need to understand the tickets. You need to act on those tickets. So LLM is a very good use case. Then LLM is also a very good use case for other text-heavy businesses like law, right? Legal, like everything is like just text. Then education, as I mentioned, like essays and others. And more importantly, like software. So software at the core is actually just language, right? So, and you see a lot of disruption there with software development. The other areas are like we saw one of the pitch in the sciences, right? Biology and research, right? That one I would say is upcoming, and it's an interesting area, but I don't think it's a low-hanging fruit. I think a lot of work needs to be done there. Yeah, I will just stop here and let Sanjay elaborate.
So let me start with actually the hype, where the hype started and where we are and so on. So the hype actually came up because of the foundation models. And out of the $50+ billion that have gone into this generative AI over the last 5 years, half of that has gone to foundation models. So you hear about all these companies, OpenAI and so on. And there are still companies forming in that space, and their valuations are in several billions of dollars, and their funding levels are also into hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's almost, they take almost half of that funding that has gone into this space. Then comes other layers to that. We can talk about platforms. We can talk about, Anand earlier talked about the computing layer. So computing layer, for example, gets about 5 to 10% of all the funding. And in the computing layer, you probably, I mean, all of us know the success of NVIDIA, which is now a multiple trillion dollar company. So there are variants of that. There is TSU, there is GPUs, there are all of these computational companies. And there are also computational companies into edge AI sector, which is very different than what NVIDIAs of the world are doing. They are going into the very low power kind of still neural network based computing. So they also are interesting companies. And then there is application space, which takes about, I would say, 20 to 25% of the funding as well as market today in Gen AI. And that's a low-hanging fruit as far as a lot of people can see, but there are two sides of that coin. It's a low-hanging fruit in terms of the development, but at the same time, it's a low barrier to entry for others as well. And that's something that we need to be cautious about, because given that all of us, and the world is really flat here, that everybody has access to all these foundation models, many of these are open source and so on. So making use of that and creating application is quite reasonably easy. I mean, people can do it in hours, weeks, months, whatever, depending on the level of complexity. So then the question comes is which space to look at and what's interesting. And Anand earlier asked this question as to what applications do you see success at? So there are going to be applications. I mean, we can go about healthcare and we can go about legal and all those things, and the low-hanging fruits and of text, video, audio, and so on. The applications where we see sort of getting traction with VCs or funding is where they are very domain specific. By that, what I mean is there are companies which are focusing primarily into, let's say, finance sector. Making sure they help out people who are either investors or looking at, there is so much of data coming from multiple sources, and to kind of churn out that data and provide those insights. So call it marketing insights and so on. Similarly, at customer support level, sales level, there are companies which are focusing on very narrow niches. But because they are so much focused, and if their team has that expertise, let's say somebody has this finance level expertise into a very specific sector, and you marry that together with Gen AI, and then that becomes a successful team combination, whereas everybody is kind of spread out on multiple areas in Gen AI, then this particular company can make a lot of progress, and they are talking to very specific clients. So it's a niche application, but they make progress in that, and they have opportunity to work together with closely with their customer. So it goes back to the startup model where you are developing these not in a vacuum by yourself, but working together with your customers. So those are the cases where I'm seeing good traction in terms of funding, and good traction in terms of getting to initial return on investment for the investors and some successes. Because as we will see, I think we have just, if you look at the Gartner's hype curve, we are just at a point which are slightly above the highest inflation peak. So this next year, 2 years is going to be when everybody's going to look at what applications or which companies are having business successes based on what they are working on. And that's going to be a big differentiator. So in the next 1 to 3 years, we'll see companies falling apart because they are not able to meet the expectations, I mean, compared to what their valuations are.
Yeah, so this will be a good segue into a question that has come up, and I'll go through these questions in a random order. So the question is really, again, do you see a cool down period? And I can give you my perspective because we have these discussions every day. Do you think we are in a bubble, or do you think it's going to go on, right? And so I get that question asked a lot because as an analyst, I'm always presenting. And I don't see any bubble bursting, at least for 2 years, because we have so many startups with so much cash and so many large companies with so many billions of dollars. They will spend it for 2 years, and after that, things will cool down. When I say cool, it's not 2x growth, it's still 30% growth. And as a devil's advocate, there is also discussions among us when we say that this bubble has become too big. If this burst, third world war will happen. So it's in nobody's interest, for that to happen. So, but again, everybody has got perspective. So Pramod, Sanjay, I'll turn it over to you.
There is no doubt there is a bubble, because anytime any technology, this is not just Gen AI, any technology is at the peak of this expectations or the hype curve, there is a bubble around that, because there is a bandwagon kind of a mentality with VCs. And no offense to any VCs here on the call, but typically then everybody tries to rush into that particular sector and fund a lot of companies, or spread it out in a way that, okay, you fund multiple companies and at least some of them succeed. And we have seen this over last 20, 30 years. We have seen investments going into .com in early 2000, 1995 to 2000. And then we have seen the bubble into IoT, and then we have seen bubble into AGI. Actually, AGI is now into this trough of disillusionment in some ways, but we have seen that also happen. So there is no doubt that we are somewhere at that peak here as well. Whether we are at the top of it or whether we are descending down, it remains to be seen depending on who you talk to. But I think in the next 1 to 3 years, we'll definitely see that what's typically called as a trough of disillusionment. Because if you look at the valuations of these companies, they are overvalued. Many of them are overvalued. And that's because of the expectations that either the investors have or the market have about these companies. Without really all of us not knowing, and I'm part of that, not knowing how much return to expect from any one of these. There is huge expectation. We believe that something miraculous is going to happen, but then a gadget comes and they advertise, oh, this has Gen AI and so on, and doesn't get traction in the industry and in the market. And then you kind of start thinking, okay, what did it really bring to the table? So yeah, my view is, yeah, and there's no doubt that that's at the peak of the hype curve, which means there is a bubble there.
Yes, I'll just give a flip side to this, contrarian side to it. I think the bubbles and the hype cycles are actually good for the society, right? If you look at the internet boom, there was a lot of buildup that happened, and the bubble was mainly in terms of expectation, like how soon you'll get an ROI and how soon the technology will start, right? So I think we should be happy with the bubbles. I think I always say that bubbles are good for entrepreneurs and society, bad for VCs, right? I mean, some of them will lose their money, but overall, I think it's good for everyone, right? Having said that, I would say you will start seeing some of the bubble burst, or what I would say, like just expectations getting normalized, starting with foundation models. We have like 2 years into foundation model, and we will start realizing that it's a very capital intensive business and not everybody can do it. So I think that's where you will first start seeing some normalization. But on the app layer side, I think it's going to continue for a long time, as Anand said, right? It's very cheap actually to build a vertical app, and you can do so much with it. And even though it might hallucinate now and not show the right ROI, I think it's just a matter of time when you get there, right? So I would say like this wave is going to continue for additional like 5 to 10 years. And then it will start normalizing from the bottom, which is the LLM. And then infrastructure will be the second one getting normalized. And the app layer will get normalized like 10 to 15 years from now, where we'll see like big winners emerge. And then there'll be nothing more to do. And then we'll go back to normal.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting times indeed, though. So this is a good question here. So Sumit is asking that they are building an AI application targeting 16 to 22-year students who are transitioning from regional languages to English. And their biggest challenge is monetization. So, freemium model and may or may not work. What is your recommendation in terms of, monetizing an application that has good potential market?
Pramod, you want to go on that?
I think freemium is good to put the product in people's hand and get them to use it, because that reduces the sales. Like you don't need to go through a POC, you don't need to have ROI and everything. You put the product in hand. So I'm a big fan of premium, but limiting to some use cases or having a time period where the customer has to decide. If the customer decides not to buy, then there's really like you have to go back to the whiteboard and start thinking why the customer is not buying it, right? Maybe you're not providing a lot of value, or other cases, sometimes, you don't want people to just use the free version. That's why you put like a time limit and say you just cut it off, right? But after doing all of that, if the customer is like okay with churning or not buying, then you really have to go back and figure out if the product is really providing value. And to me, I think the fastest way to go through this is freemium rather than going through a proper sales process.
Yeah, so to answer that question, I think it comes back to the fundamentals of business models in a typical startup industry, that you do go after revenue stream as soon as you can get that. Given that we are in bubble, as Pramod was mentioning, there is a little bit of advantage that maybe your investors can be a little bit more patient and you can afford to sort of penetrate a little bit more. And in some applications, you will get kind of even investment traction based on how many customers, even in the premium model and so on, that you have. So I think probably for a year or so, you have a little bit cushion here, at least in this particular space now, Gen AI space. But sooner or later, I think I keep on saying this 1 to 3 years, because the companies that will show some level of business success in that 1 to 3 year time period, no matter what applications you are working on, those are the ones I think will be able to go to the next level, because in that time frame, I think the VCs would start asking questions about whether this is going to have any returns or not. Given that, again, there are too many companies. This is a very crowded space. There are a lot of companies worldwide jumping into many of these. And sometimes, for example, there can be advantage if you are niche focused on a specific region. For example, if you are working for, let's say, Indian languages or Indian videos or audios and so on, you may have a captive advantage for at least some time if you are ahead in that pack. So to answer your question, it depends. I think given the bubble is there, given the investors are jumping in, you have a cushion of maybe a year to 2 years. But then after that, you have to start really having your focus on revenue.
Yeah, and I'll give you a couple of data points. So when this AI came, it was actually amazing to see all kinds of business models emerge. I'll give you an example. So I somehow found out this application called as Rocket Money. It keeps track of your spending and it tells you, where you can save. First, the app came and said, pay me $10 a month. I said, no, it doesn't make sense. Then they came back and said, well, we looked at your Comcast bill and you are paying $250, which is too much. Would you like us to negotiate and bring it down to 125? I said, fine. And they actually did. And then they said, well, since we successfully negotiated for you, I'm going to keep 30% of that 125 I'm saving you. I couldn't have said no, right? So, if you're an entrepreneur and looking at monetizing, I would suggest that you look at some of the out-of-box ideas like this. So now, they got their 1 year's worth. I got my savings, and we are both happy, right? So there are things like that AI enables you to do, and it's actually amazing, where we are going. So here is another question. How do you verify the LLM responses and answers are hallucinations or not? How do you, measure accuracies for the actual answers? I don't know, Pramod, Sanjay, do you have any perspective?
Yeah, that's called grounding. So I think even gardeners, for example, of the world are also looking at this 1 to 3 years time period in terms of this so-called grounding, which is where the both the application layers as well as the foundation models are going to go through validation on real data. So far it's all building, both on foundation model as well as the application models. But now it's going to go through the taste of some real data. And then that's where I think we are going to find out which ones of these work successfully, at what level, at what cost, infrastructure costs, and so on. So I think that will probably answer that depending on which applications you are looking at.
Yeah, so I'll just add. I mean, there are two parts to it. Like, one is using AI to do automation. Like, think of you're doing OCR, or you're scanning some PDF, or you're scanning some medical reports, right? In that case, the accuracy is actually defined. So there'll be humans in the loop, and they will help you through prompt engineering and RAG and fine tuning, like combination of all three to get to an accuracy. So that I call as like a known problem where what the final outcome is. For some of the unknowns, I mean, that's what I was talking about, like some of this knowledge graphs and like sciences, you don't know the truth, right? And that is going to be iterative, interactive. I'm still not very hopeful in short term, because if you don't know what needs to come out of it, I think it's very difficult to lead AI towards it, right? So, and that's also like, I'll just give a passing comment is some of the experts who have knowledge in this field on what truth is, what the good looks like, I think they're going to be of very, very high value, right? So think of taking that knowledge, like think of a radiologist who has like 30 years of experience, can just look at an X-ray and can say, this is what it is, right? So taking all of that knowledge and converting into a product is where the challenge is going to be.
Yeah.
So just while we are on that topic, while all of us kind of Gen AI, we start thinking about applications, I would encourage some of you to think about this other aspect of it, and companies are getting funded in that area too, which is how do we avoid what's called as a poisoning, meaning one set of a wrong data, throwing away model and asking it to hallucinate and so on. So kind of a taste method to taste the robustness of your applications or somebody else's application, that by itself is a good opportunity.
Yeah, and
that's
I'll
happening in
also
the robotics world as well, that there are companies getting funded who are tasting the robots itself. I mean, as much as many companies got funded into creating these robots for various applications, there are companies, startup companies, which are coming from the other angle, which are tasting the robots, and the same thing can happen here on the Gen AI as well.
Yeah, and I'll add a couple more points. So I was just briefed by a startup who is building what is called as guardrails. So guardrail is a technique that is used to ensure that hallucinations don't come out in the response. And this company was building APIs. And what you could do is you could set levels, or you could set your keywords, or you could set age limits, whatever you want. And these APIs had another AI model in the background, which would, basically ensure that these guardrails are met. So guardrail actually is an interesting research topic. If you go to archive and search for guardrails, you'll see a bunch of papers. So there is a research going on. Again, one AI model is trying to defeat another AI models. There are techniques like that you use. So that's also happening. I don't think it has been very successful just yet, but this for more AI, which will need more infrastructure, which will need more semi. And now you see, where the billions of dollars are coming into the picture. So I'll go to the next question. So Nayan is asking, he's an AI developer in the legal space with expertise in building AI tools for legal firms. So today, every company, including big tech, is racing to integrate AI in their products. Given the underlying AI algorithms and technologies are largely the same, my question is, how do we compete with companies that have massive data resources and significant funding, while building a successful product in the niche market?
That's a real problem, actually. This is one of the challenges for startups, because somewhere you are going to be competing with larger companies who have a lot more resources than you have. And one way to kind of work in that scenario is if you find a niche that's you have a domain expertise in that area, meaning some people in your team are experts in that area, and because of that you have certain edge over somebody else who's developing, even the existing companies developing in that area. So you can take that lead, you can do patents in that area, and that's one way to sort of overcome that disadvantage.
Yeah, I would just add to what Sanjay said is like, don't try to compete head on with them with what they're doing. Find a wedge, right? And the wedge the wedge is becoming more important because since you don't have a lot of funding to compete, so you need to find a wedge where the value is immediate, and you can convert customers to paying customers. I mean, there's nothing better than like having paying customers and revenue, and then you'll be able to raise funding. But if you just go and do like a Me Too product with against like heavily funded startups, and even if you are better, sometimes it's better to not compete, and right. So it's good to find a wedge where you can get to revenue quickly.
We have a question from Mira, and she's asking on any advice on how to bootstrap AI projects. How do we get support for a lawyer registering business, accessing low investment angel funds? I guess Sanjay, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, so
talk to us. Venture
I have seen some startup companies. Some came through our own Garje Marathi platform as well. They are into service sector, so Gen AI service, and those are typically bootstrapped. So the ones that I have seen being successful is people who were into existing services, IT services, call it slightly different areas. But as Gen AI came in, they jumped into that. And because they had existing clientele, existing business contacts and so on, they kind of transformed into services in Gen AI domain. And those are doing reasonably well because they were able to leverage their existing business contacts.
Yeah, I think my feedback would be, the investment environment is very fertile right now. So if you're not able to get funding, I would go back and look at two things. Like, I think one of the main reason why we end up passing is the team structure. So having the good team structure, like a combination of a domain expert and a data scientist and a leader. So like focus on the team, like more the merrier. Like single founder is always a problem. Having three is okay. And the second one is is the pitch and the product, validating with the customers, right? Like if you just pick up with an idea, go to a VC and then say nobody's funding me, that's normal. That's not, I mean, you're not supposed to get funding for that, right? So start with the team, start with the customers, and then go to VC. But right now is a very fertile, very risk-on environment. So I would encourage to seek funding. Now is not the time to bootstrap. If you're bootstrapping, you're not getting funding, I think you have problems.
There is a question from Amit Pathak. He's asking that given there is a push for AI regulation, in particular, EU seems big right now, and US is also thinking about it. And even India will get there. How do you think that will that will impact the innovation in this area? It's a good question, actually.
It's a good question. And that's something that both the small startups as well as the bigger corporations are watching for. And you have to keep looking at it in terms of what kind of restrictions will come. There will be differences between different geographies. Some geographies are more open compared to other ones. So if you kind of geographically spread out, your risk might be a risk mitigation for you.
So I'll add a couple more points to that. So there was a very interesting article from one of the research institutions, I forget. They did analysis of number of parameters and the rate at which semiconductor industry is growing and the amount of data that's available on internet, and that's real data, not the duplicate data, because a big chunk of data on the internet is actually coming from AI chatbots, right? So it's not going to help in terms of training. And they said that there is a point at which we'll be running out of data, in the world for training, because the models will become just so big, it will not add any value. That's one point. Second, the data that really matters. So for example, if you go to Reddit forums or if you go to Quora, it's actually coming from me. The answers are coming from me, and I'm adding value in terms of telling which model is the best or what you should focus on or whatever. And so we are seeing this New York Times suing Google and OpenAI. I think there is going to be more of that in the future. And at some point, I wouldn't be surprised if Quora starts paying users for their answers, and then they start monetizing by selling their data to OpenAI and other institutions. I think it's a very fascinating times we are in right now. There's going to be a lot of changes in the future. Pramod, do you have anything to add?
I'm actually, I'm not a big fan of, I mean, the whole regulation, people talk a lot about it. I think to me, as a founder, you should not worry about it. I think you should break things and fix it later. Don't worry about regulation. So don't do anything fearing regulation or keeping regulation in mind. Let regulation figure it out, because it's beyond everybody's pay grade. So my advice to entrepreneurs is just ignore regulations for now.
So we are almost to the hour. One last question, which somebody has also asked here. How could country like India leverage this LLM boom or LMM boom and utilize it and use for the best of the country?
So I'll just talk about some of the examples that I have seen, and that's very encouraging to me, very impressive. The world is flat right now. We have been saying that for 10, 20 years, the phrase was very common and so on. But especially in this Gen AI domain, the world is really flat. That means there is no disadvantage to you if you're sitting in India versus you are here, as long as you know where you are going. And I'll just quote a couple of examples. There's a company that was started by Indian entrepreneurs, actually started in Delhi, and then they moved here to San Francisco. Today, it's a $3 billion valuation company called Innovaxer into healthcare space, so vertical completely. And then they went from SaaS to Gen AI and so on. So very successful company. So that's a good example. There's another example which is using LLMs for Indian languages. It's called Sarvam.ai. And that also has got fundings of probably $50 to $100 million and valued over about $150 million. So these are, as I'm just quoting some examples. So these are some examples where I see that there is a great opportunity for no matter where you are sitting, and if you have the domain expertise and background into those areas, if you have done work in that area particularly, then these are great times. So just keep innovating, and if you really are experts in that area, then I think you will be certainly successful.
Pramod?
Yeah, I have a very good anecdote to add here. So think of like in India, sometimes skips generations. So like we went from like broadband, like instead of laying cable to like cellular directly, and now everybody has like cellular, right? So like recently last year, a very bright, actually a Marathi PhD student came to me. He's studying at Stanford. He came with a very interesting idea, is to create a legal platform for India, right? In different languages. And I thought it was a very amazing work. Like I wanted to help him. Like so the implication is he's skipping 1 or 2 generations here, right? So there's actually absolutely no automation available right now. You see this advocates, typing something on literally on a typewriter and all of that stuff, right? So now he's taking that and going to like a self-service AI-driven platform where a lot of those things would be done through AI, right? That's a huge, like a 2-generation leap, right? So I'm really bullish about that in India, where AI will enable us to actually leap forward a couple of generations in everything. Like law is one thing, like everything is like a little bit stuck in the old age in India, and this is the good opportunity for us to get to both automation and AI. I mean, automation is because automation is more of a digitization, going from a paper pencil like a typewriter to like a digital, and then the next generation is the AI generation, and we can do both at the same time right now.
Thank you. So we used a couple extra minutes, but hopefully everybody enjoyed the conversation. And, I'm sorry if I didn't get to all the questions. We have a forum on my website. We have WhatsApp groups, and we'll also be having a GitHub page for different my projects and my initiatives. So, if you're on the audience, I encourage you to keep in touch and go take a look. We have a hackathon coming in Stanford next month. Then we have a boot camp coming for the prompt engineering, and then we have some more NLP related courses coming next year. So, we wish to collaborate with the community, take AI everywhere in Maharashtra in particular. And like I said, we wish to help students to learn AI, engineer solutions in AI, and hopefully make a difference in the world. So with that, thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Garje Marathi, for the platform. Thank you, Nikhil. And thank you all. Nikhil, back to you.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anandji, Pramodji, and Anand, of course. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me, Nikhil Patil. I have posted my LinkedIn link on the chat here. And then please watch out for this Garje Marathi's page for more events as we enable the AI wave everywhere. Thank you, and I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.